we meet again.
We meet again. So, mate, what are we doing this episode?
Well, we're working through the next step. Now we're showing guys and gals what we need to do, and our endeavour here is, now that we've done days of data mining, we want to get some value out of that. So what we're going to do now is, the next phase of this is to compare the different strategies to see how they performed across a multi-market array. In other words, how often does that parameter set occur across the various instruments we're looking at?
So, look, I've just done a brief introduction to this. We might get onto that and then get into the process.
Sounds good to me.
Okay, Fred, so here we are. In the prior videos, we looked at the design development phase where we showcased 6 trend following models that we produced. Then in part 3A and 3B, we led into this step 2 of the process, which is the data mining process, where we selected our range of universes that we wanted to test through this process. And then we undertook a data mining process where we developed a comprehensive database of each parameter variation for those different 6 trend following models. So now we're up to step 3, which we regard as the start of the robustness tests. In this case, we're looking at the multi-market capability of these trend following models, and we're using the prior database collection to basically rank and sort those particular parameter variations that have multi-market potential and meet some of the criteria we set up in this phase. So just the key features of this test is that our objective is to use the prior data mining phase to then rank all the profitable solutions by their multi-market potential. So in that prior database of our collections, we had a number of unprofitable solutions. This process eliminates all of the unprofitable solutions and then looks at the profitable solutions and sees how they've performed across different markets. The intent of this process is that we want broad, robust strategies that can be applied across many different markets. We're sort of getting away from trying to tailor them for a specific market and more looking at their applicability across many different markets.
Yeah, so Rich,
Yep.
just to keep it really simple for the guys, what we're looking to see here is if we have a parameter set, for example, that has a Donchian look back of 500 and it has a stop loss of 2 ATR and a trailing stop of 5 ATR, how many times does that combination of look back, stop loss and trailing stop loss occur across the various markets that we've been testing?
So what we do is we're only using a couple of criteria here. How many markets has this particular parameter set been profitable on, and we're also using a minimum number of trades, but we'll get onto that when we get into the process. This actual process itself is a very short process, doesn't take long at all. So in running this step, it might only take half an hour or 15 minutes for your PC to run through all of these options and develop this ranked listing. So Fred, how about we get on to an example?
Excellent, let's do it.
All right, mate. All right, Fred, so here we are. In our prior video, we undertook this data mining algorithm process here. Now what we want to do is, in that process itself, we developed the stage 1 CSV files. So just go back to the prior video to see what those stage 1 CSV files were. But in this step, what we're now doing is we're moving to the next EA in the series, which is the multi-market test, which you'll see identified with this particular notation. So we select that algorithm from the series, the multi-market test, and Fred, there's nothing else we need to set here as far as the details here.
Just the expert properties, mate.
So we go into the expert properties, and Fred, just explain what's happening here.
Yeah, you've got a choice here of a couple of parameters. One is the minimum number of markets that you'd be interested in. So if you've got potentially 40, for example, markets that you're trying to rank, you might decide that you need at least half of those to feature in this test, or that you're not interested in them, and so you would set that to 20. And in order to get into that group of 20, the next parameter comes up, which is the minimum number of trades per symbol. So in our backtest, we've identified that some of our traders don't trade very often, so we want at least 5, in this example, 5 trades per market, per symbol. And so to get into the ranking at all, you've got to have at least 5 trades, you've got to be profitable, and then you need to feature or have that parameter set feature 20 times.
All right, mate. And in relation to the money assigned here, that doesn't matter?
None of those other parameters make any difference, as does the, you can use any symbol, any time frame. It's all done at a higher level within MT4, so it's not looking at anything other than those 2 parameter sets. Just a couple of points on this minimum number of markets. Because it's a ranking process, we're ranking from the highest incidence of multi-market down to the lowest. You can effectively have that number quite low. You could set that number down to 5, for example, a minimum of 5. It will still rank the highest to the top and the lowest to the bottom. The next phase, the next stage of the process will cull the top 300 anyway. So that number is almost not that important. It's probably more important to have the minimum number of trades. So you could run, because it doesn't take very long to run, you can run this multiple times, play with those numbers and see what you get as the output, and take it from there. The only one thing you must be aware of is that this EA has been written for the retail trader, and so there is a maximum currently built in of 50 different markets. So if you're trying to iterate across 1,000 markets, this thing will fall over. You're limited to 50 markets. Now, if we find people are trying to push that even further, well, we can enhance the process, but right now we thought 50 was adequate.
Thanks, mate. So in this example, I've specified 20 markets it needs to be profitable across, with a minimum number of trades per market of 5 trades. So what that means in relation to my symbol list, I'll just bring up the symbol list now. So in the symbol list that I'll be testing here, in this instance, I'm using 37 markets. So in this example, 20 of the 37 markets need to be profitable. But as you can see in that symbol list, if we want to group the symbols, we can run this as groups. So I can do all of my Forex together. I could do my commodities together. I could do my indices together, my equities together, or whatever. That just means you need to specify in your symbol list which ones you want to be assessed, and this process will look at that particular smaller grouping that you've selected in your process. So Fred, we may as well get this running.
Yep, let's do it.
All right. So you just hit the OKs to select, and we've got it all running. So we now hit the start button.
And this might take a few minutes to run through.
I'll open up the data folder so people can see what's happening as the data is being generated. So I'll just go into my tester directory, and we'll have a look. So in this case, I think it starts with the Donkin breakout. So we'll just have a look here at what's happening. And these were all the stage 1 files that were generated in the prior process. But notice here the stage 2 files that are now being generated. And you'll notice that the file size is changing as the process goes through each of the options. So Fred, anything we need to be aware of here? No,
but it's good you've pointed this out, that there are stage 1 files and stage 2 files, and as we move through there'll be stage 3 files, so you can keep them all in the same folder, but just be aware that that's what's coming in. If you sort by date modified, Rich, I think you got it up the other way. You go scroll to the top, you'll see as they come through, they'll stack on top of each other.
So at the moment it's going through USD CAD. The reason for the different file sizes is because the selections for the criteria we've set are differing. We'll see that when we go to some of the example files. Some of them produce a lot of options, others produce less options, and that therefore the file size changes accordingly for the different markets we're testing on.
It's also an indication that the bigger the file size, the more multi-market potential there is, effectively, because you've got multiple hits.
Super. All right, Fred, so we'll assume that this process has ended, and I'll go to an example file that's produced at the end of this sequence. So in this case, in this particular CSV file, we're looking at the Donchian strategy, which was applied on the pound USD. And in this case, we can see that, Fred, do you want to start discussing what's happening here? I'll just put it on freeze frames so we can scroll through.
Actually, it'd be instructive if you open up the pound stage 1 file as well.
So in the pound stage 1 file, we had 4,753 options here.
And if you scroll through some of those have got quite a number of trades. Some of them have got very little, but you'll see there's quite a few above 5. And you'll also notice that the profit varies, some positive, some negative. So obviously some are losing, some are winning. So that's the database we're starting from. And what happens if we go back to the stage 2 file now, Rich? That top set of parameters, if you just highlight that whole row for me, Rich, you can see there we've got an ATR period of 25, a stop loss multiplier of 5, and a trailing stop multiplier of 3, with an ATR period of 11.25. And the very first column, multi-market 25. What that's saying is that out of those 37 markets that we had in your symbols list, 25 of them had the exact same parameter sets, 25, 5, 3, and 11.25. So that set of combination has appeared 25 times across all the markets. And the pound, it happens to be one of them, and that's why it's listed in this file. So if you scroll to the bottom, Rich, we can have a look to see how many listings we've got here, because we set our parameter check to at least 20 with trades of at least 5. And you can see there we've now got, out of that 4,700, we've cut ourselves back to 289 combinations. And these ones are the ones that will be carried through to the next stage. And that happened for the pound, it happened for the Aussie, it happened for coffee, any of those 37 that were on your multi-market. So each of those has now got a stage 2 file, and each one of those stage 2 files has a similar listing.
Super. And just so people are aware, we've got 6 strategies. So this is a file done for the Donchian breakout for the pound USD. And you can see that this has been performed for every one of those 37 markets for the Donchian, as well as all of our other trend following models.
Exactly. So that I don't know if you took notice of how long that took, Rich, but it probably didn't take all that long to run through that process. No,
a process like that over my 37 markets might have taken me 15 minutes at most for that process. So it's a pretty fast one, Fred.
That's about it, mate. That's all you need to know for multi-market. What we're going to do now is take those multi-market CSV files, the stage 2 files, and move them into the next phase, and we'll talk about that in our next video.
All right, Fred. Well, that's a nice, quick, short, sharp video. Thanks very much for that.
Yeah, it's cool. Hey, listen, I'd be really keen to see how people are doing up to this stage. So if anyone's got any feedback, give us a hoy on the forum. And particularly if you've got any questions or it's not working for you, we're always keen to try and help. So let us know how it's all going.
All right. Thanks, everyone. And
see you in the next video. Cheers,
okay.
Rich.
Bye.